Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of CAP Explained. Today I wanted to show you that I recently put my hands on something new I haven't seen before, I haven't used before. It's something called full stack application using productivity tools. So we're gonna move around the dev space types that are possible in our trial account or any account. And usually I'm developing applications using the full stack cloud application, which has its own benefits, but there's something called full stack application using productivity tools. And it's basically a set of tools to make our development faster, easier, and maybe more accessible for someone who isn't developing day to day. So it's more like a graphical user interface instead of writing everything in code. Of course, you still have the possibility to use the encode just to edit it normally as usual in code. Okay, so I am on my BTP cockpit. I'm gonna choose my sub account, and then I'm gonna select instances and subscriptions, and I'm gonna go to the SAP Business Application Studio application. And here you can see I have one application. I'm gonna create a new one, clicking on Create Dev Space, and I will call it, for example, Bookshop. I already have a bookstore, but why not tutorial? And the difference here is just to choose full stack application using productivity tools. And you can see it comes with a different set of tools that in the full stack cloud application. Yeah, so you can of course add any additional extensions if you need, but for this short tutorial that's gonna be enough. So I'm clicking on create dev space, and it's gonna just take a little while to create the instance. So I'm gonna go back to when it's done. You can see that it's in status running, so we can open the dev space. And I recently learned about it when preparing for a certification. So I think that's a nice addition to quickly develop an application when the time is limited. Yeah. So if you need to create an application on the certification, you have, for example, 1 or 2 hours, and maybe it's better to use the productivity tools to quickly generate an application. So let's start off with clicking on Create Project. So on the left-hand side, selecting Project Overview, and click on Create Project. Full stack with productivity tools I'm choosing. And I'm gonna call it Bookshop. Why not? As the usual. The project is being generated, and after just a while, it's gonna open this dashboard, which is similar to a Miro dashboard or any other dashboard, which is gonna have 4 sections. So let's just wait for it to reload. And you can see my page has been reloaded, meaning that the project has been created, and it just needs to be loaded. So you've got the storyboard with the name Bookshop, which is the name of our project. And here you can see that we have 4 sections: the external resources, which is the API calls and so on, or rather API endpoints, data models, which is our CDS domain model, our services, where we will put our projections, and the UI applications sections, where you can quickly create Fiori Elements applications. So let's start off with data models. You can press here to create one. You can press here on the left hand side to create one. So let's just stick with this one. So I'm gonna choose Bookshop as the namespace because why not? And you can see a schema.cds file has been created in the backend, and now we're gonna add stuff to it. So here you can click on Add Entity, and it's gonna give you this draggable entity that you can put wherever you want. And after putting it, it's gonna go in edit mode for the name, and we can start up by typing in books. So I like to keep up the uppercase notation and definitely plural. Okay. After that, you can see that it creates the base key, the UUID, which is just a basic thing for a CDS. in CAP. And you should always stick with those keys here. And then you can press on add property here. So it will add you a property here, but what you can also do is press show details. And on the right hand side, you're gonna see this nice, I would say, section where you can easily add new new fields, which I see in the recording that you cannot see it, and I probably. So let me just modify a little bit my screen, just like that. All right, that's definitely better. You can create new fields to this entity by pressing this plus here. So I'm gonna add the property of title, which is gonna be type of string, and I'm gonna add the genre, which can also be a string. Maybe let's restrict it to 50. It doesn't need to be that long. Let's add the pages, which will be type of integer. You can see that here are all of the standard types available in CAP. And you can choose if this value should be a key field or not. So you can see if I press key, it changes this here visually to a key value. But for now, let's stick with the one UID. And yeah, we definitely want it to be not null, which means that it needs to have a title, a genre, and pages. And then lastly, let's add an author. And I'm gonna type in the author as yeah, just author. It's just gonna be, or rather, we're not gonna add it this way, but we're gonna add it per an association. So you can see we've got this relationships here also tab, but first let's instead of adding here anything, let's just firstly create the author's entity so that we can connect it. So again, add entity, authors, and here again, maybe I'm gonna use this one this time, and I'm gonna add a new property, and let's go with name, string 100, why not? Now, if you want to connect entities by creating relationships, you can press on one of the entities, and here you can see that there's a button for add relationship. So I'm actually gonna go from authors to books. So I'm starting with authors, pressing add relationship. You can see an arrow pops up, which I can easily connect it to that books entity. And when I press connecting both of them, a relationship details window is gonna appear, where you can choose the type, if it's association or composition, to one, to many association, and then the backlink property, which is available if you select a too many association, since one author can have multiple books and choosing too many. I didn't want to do a survey. SAP, thanks for that. Okay. If you're new to associations or anything that related to the basics, check out my latest, or maybe not so latest, episode on the CAP development. We can learn a lot. But for now, let's just stick with creating this relationship. I'm pressing OK. And you can see automatically I'm getting this books and authors property in my entities. So maybe let's zoom in, so I don't need to add it per hand. And after we click here to show the details, go to relationships, you're gonna see that the relationship between books is created. It's a too many association, meaning, as I said, that one author can have multiple books. We're gonna stick with those two entities. If you want to edit anything in code instead of this visual graphical interface, you can press here on the upper hand side, open CDS editor text, and it's gonna on the right hand side open this panel, which is just standard CDS development. And you can add, of course, any properties here manually. For example, I'm gonna add the price of type decimal, and it even tells me what precision and scale I can use. So it automatically pre-fills it. I'm gonna choose 9 and 2, just for example, and don't forget the semicolon. After I close it, you can see it has reloaded everything we've got here, and the value of our books entity appears here automatically. Okay, so you can choose either the developing way or the graphical interface. Super simple, super easy. All right, and for now, let's go back to our storyboard, and let's go with creating a service. So we need to expose our entities to the world, so to say, to our applications, so that they can use them to pull the data. So let's create a service. I'm gonna choose the name Bookshop Service, just as the application suggests. Press on Create, and automatically you can see that we can open a graphic modeler, add service entities, actions, functions, or even user roles, which is really cool. It's a really quick way to do so. Let's go with add service entity. And it's gonna create, or rather open this visual representation the same way as in the schema.cds, but this time we are in service.cds. And here you can add, instead of an entity, a projection on the entity, which will create just a view on our table. Since CDS entities are converted into SQL tables, sorry for that, then we can just add a projection. And the same way as for the entities, we can put in a projection. And here, actually, I'm gonna need to zoom out, or what's going on? Can I move it? Yeah, okay, can move it. It creates a drop-down list. Two default options are set as redirection target and draft editing, meaning OData draft. We definitely want to have OData draft for our service, but maybe deselect the redirection target. And I can choose any base type for our projection, and I can choose from any those that we created, which are books and authors. So let's go with books. And you can see that I can, but I don't need to expose all the data I have here. So for some reason, I might say I don't want the user to see the price in this service. So I'm just deselecting it, and I'm gonna give out all of the values that are in the books table, in the books entity, but without the price. Maybe for the service, I don't want the user to see the price. Okay, then I'm just clicking here on the OK button. It's gonna create the service, and just like that, data projection has been created without the price. And again, we can use this button to open the CDS editor and see that just a service has been created with a path. It has imported it from the schema.cds file, which is this one. And it has added an annotation of OData draft enabled, which is really cool that you can see all of the annotations also when clicking on the projection. Here you've got show annotations, and it's gonna show the one that we have now, that is only, it's not showing it for the whole entity. Okay, so for the whole entity, we need to show it by this button. And you can see your data draft enable is set to true. You can change the value, or you can add any new annotation. There's a lot to choose from if you want to add it to the application, just so you know. All right, and you can see that it even explicitly is excluding the price. So instead of defining all of the fields, we chosen to select all fields and then exclude the price from this projection. But as I said, you don't need to use the text editor. You can stick to the model, graphical modeler. Okay, so we've got the data model, we've got the service. So let's just create an application, and it's gonna be super quick, as you're gonna see. So let's click on plus. It's gonna open a new UI application creation. Let's change the display name to I don't know, display books, and the application name, you can see it automatically is being generated. Description, a list of books. Press on next. The application type is going to be a template-based responsive website. You can also create mobile versions for your applications, which is really cool. Press on next. And as the template, as usual, we're gonna select the list report page. You can see that the list is a little bit smaller as for the usual full stack cloud applications. But let's stick to the list report page. Press on next. Main entity is gonna be books, and sure, let's add some basic table columns. Press on finish, and the application will be generated. So you're gonna see that it's very quick and very easy to do. You can see that it's installing any dependencies that's gonna be needed for this application, which is basically running the command npm I or npm install to add all of the most important packages. And here on the bottom side, maybe you saw it. Okay, so automatically the page map opens for my application. You can also open it by pressing here on your application and clicking on Open in Page Map, where you can change any descriptions, the list of the columns you want to add to your application, which I also covered in my other videos if you want to see it, but just maybe a quick recap. Maybe first let's start by opening the application. So by going back to my storyboard, you can see that there's this quick access button, or the tab, and you can run, deploy even, or build the application. So let's go with running our application. We're just gonna start the whole server, load everything that we have currently here, so that data models, the services, and the application. It will install anything that's important for this. And just in a second, you're gonna see that it is gonna start the server by creating this. Oh my God, it's even opened the page for me. I didn't even need to click, okay? This is perfect. I already love the productivity tools. So if you missed the open, you can also go with Control and click on this link, which is gonna take you to this project preview. On the right-hand side, you can see all of the services. So we created an API endpoint for the book called Bookshop service, where we put in all needed books. So the authors entity and authors table is existing in the backend, but we didn't put it out to our application. You can see the data pressing here. Of course, we don't have any data yet, but let's stick to our application for now. So here on the left-hand side, you can see like a simulation of a home page of SAP when you're gonna deploy, and it's currently only with our book, display books, and the description, a list of books. So let's press on that, and it's gonna take me to the application. And you can see it is pre-filled with some values like title, genre, pages, and it's already annotated with OData draft enabled. So that's why we can create some entities. For example, passing in the title, Romeo and Juliet. I don't know if it should be written like that. Genre, romance with 100 pages. And I can create the entity with no issue. And after I reload the page, you can see that such a book has been created, and I can press on it and open information about the book. So this is the object page. Then you can edit the page, and you can see that it is run in the draft. So I can go back, I can change something. I don't need to save everything for now. I can just go back, go do a coffee break, and go back to editing. Okay. So data draft enable just handles everything automatically for you. And all right, just so to do a super quick recap, And if you go to your application and to your page map, which I have already opened here, you can press edit on your list report. List report is the stuff you can see here. So the list display of all of your values that you've got in your table based on the filter values. And you can, maybe let's make this a little bit smaller, edit anything, whatever you want there. So you can see that you can do controllers and so on and so on. And let's actually click on the edit button. And here you can add some columns, for example, get the title, genre, pages, or maybe instead of adding columns, we can change the description by pressing on, typing in title, typed in uppercase, or genre, or pages. And you can see that in the backend, the whole page is being reloaded, automatically pulling up those values. And in my terminal, I can see that everything is being reloaded just to end up looking like this. So you can see title, genre, pages is automatically changed, uppercase this time. And the most important thing I always like to change when creating such an application is, let me search for it, is setting the initial load to enabled, making the whole application load up the data just when you open up the application, and you don't need to press on the start button. Of course, for now, we don't have any data. We created this one entry, but it has been reloaded it basically has been deleted because it was just temporary. So if you want to have some real data or real sample data, we can also add this in this productivity tools. So to add the data, on the left-hand side, we can choose our data model and bookshop. And for example, to the books, I'm going to go on these three dots and press on add data. This should open a new window for us, and we can add in sample data. You can add data of your own, you can add a row, and you can see this pre-filled with some random values, taking a random price, random pages, and whatever, or we can pass it out, or we can change this by hand, or you can type in, for example, the number of rows you want to have. So it's the same as you would use the command cds add data, but let's stick to the commands. For example, I can add 10 sample rows, and you can see it easily generates the data for me, and I can instantly change the titles to sample book or genre romance or whatever. And also after everything reloads, don't worry that it drops an error in Polish. You can see already that we've got those. Maybe let's close up. That's too many stuff on my screen now. Let's go back here, and again with Control and click, I can open the project preview and open my application, where as you can see, the initial load makes the data loaded automatically, and it's all the values that we passed in just now. And then we can open the object page, where you can see all the data and all your information to this entry. Of course, you can style it as in any way you want. Also, to do an example for this is, I'm gonna go back to the page map. If you don't know where the page map is, again, you can go three dots here, open in page map to open the application. And here we can edit the list report and the object page. I'm pressing on editing the object page. And for example, in the header, I want to have some icon. So I'm gonna use the Explorer to open the icon Explorer, and you'll get this UI5 icon Explorer. So let's go for course book. And here I'm gonna select the first copy button. to copy the icon URL, and I'm gonna paste it to this icon URL, and it's gonna automatically reload my page. And in just a second, I can see the result of this. You can see all of the websites have been reloaded. And when I go to my object page, you're gonna see that this, for example, this icon appears here on my object page. Just for an example, again, you can check out my videos to see it for yourself, how to style such an object page. Okay, so that's probably all of the things I wanted to show you in this episode. Quite a lot to take through, quite a lot of possibilities. I'm gonna stop the server here by pressing this square and close the console. Okay, guys, so in this episode, as you can see, we created a data model, service, and UI application in a really quick time. If you get used to it, you probably can create just an application under 10 minutes or 5 minutes if you're super quick. And so I think it's very cool, and I really like that it's giving you this graphical overview of this, which is super simple. You can even see that after adding the sample data, you can press here to edit the sample data. And there's probably much more to explore in this productivity tools. So as I said, for quick projects, if you need something for now, maybe it's a client presentation that you need to do in 10 minutes, maybe it's going to be really useful. The same with authorizations. You can see we can go to this authorization edit, currently having only the authorization authenticated user role. You can add those roles. There's a lot to explore and do. Basically, anything you can do in just a regular CAP project, you can also do here, but with the graphical interface, which makes it a lot of easier for people that are not used to code or don't code a lot, maybe even for consultants or anyone else that wants to use this. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, today. Leave a like, a subscription, a comment if you enjoyed, and maybe share it to your colleagues so that they can also use this beautiful tool, the productivity tools. Thank you very much for today, and I hope I see you in the next episode.